have like some cool catchphrase to open up the show, but until then, I'm just going to say welcome in, hello, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening to us. And when you're listening to us, welcome inside episode number 5 of the Sporting Tribune Today. I am your host, Adrian Hernandez, and we'll start off the show by giving myself some credit, because people love talking about themselves, right? You know what I'm saying? Like they just love it. You ever go on a date with someone, or you ever just want to get someone talking? Just ask them about themselves and they'll handle the rest of the conversation. So I'll do that right now. Look, if you celebrate, you know that this is a Christmas week, or is Christmas week, I should say. And historically, for most workplaces in America outside of retail workers, which shout out to y'all, if you are going out shopping for last minute gifts, whether it's Target, Best Buy, the mall, clothing stores, Bath and Body Works, whatever, the candle stores, whatever you're doing, the makeup stores, wherever you're going to get some gifts, don't be assholes to these people that have been working crazy hours trying to make sure everybody gets the gifts that they have. If it's sold out, my guy, it is sold out, and that's on you. I understand times is hard. That check, that deposit just hit. It's Friday. We're recording this in the wee hours of Friday. I get it. It's not their fault, though. But anyway, that was just a sidebar rant. Shout out to my retail workers. I know that grind and I know that hustle. But everyone else, not a lot of people putting in some elbow grease or whatever the phrase is. Like people relaxing, taking some days off, spending time with family, taking vacations. It happens. So I can say this with data provided to me by the people that provide data. Historically, Christmas week is the least productive week in the American workplace, but we're still here. Welcome. Episode 5, Christmas edition of the Sporting Tribune Today. Again, Adrian Hernandez here. If it's your first time listening, thank you. We appreciate you. What we do around here is very simple. I'm your host, and I have the great honor of looking through the landscape of the Sporting Tribune, which covers Las Vegas, where I'm located, Southern California, and all the professional and collegiate sports going on over there, and Hawaii as well, with our great writing team covering it all, from UCLA to the Lakers, Clippers, the Golden Knights, the Aces, Raiders, Chargers, Rams, everything going on. Dodgers, free agency, everything's going on, okay? I have to look through everybody's work. And then I get to decide, hey, I want you on the show to talk about your article, or talk about what's going on. And it's a fun time. And as a matter of fact, it's our 5th episode. Joining us for the 3rd time. There's been people on this show that haven't been on the show, I should say, rather. Excuse me. But she's joining us for a 3rd time because the World Cup was this past weekend. That final was amazing. My 4-year-old son, I can't get him to concentrate in sports at all other than playing them, like watching them. He's not with the vibes. This World Cup final, though, 35 minutes of him on the couch like, he's 4 years old. It was remarkable. That's how good this final was between France and Argentina. And Chandrima Chatterjee, if you have not been checking out, excuse me, I did it. I mispronounced her name. She's been on the show 3 times. Chandrima Chatterjee is joining us here, coming up to put a bow on the World Cup, talk about it all. Matter of fact, we're switching it up. We're testing things out. We're still trying to find our footing, seeing what works. And there's someone else, a part of our staff, dealing with our socials and just very active, and has honestly been messaging me throughout this whole World Cup like, hey, can we do it this week? Can we do it this week? I really want to talk. I got notes. I got power rankings. I got hot takes. And I'm like, I love it. Let's see when we can do it. Let's see what we can do it. And we can't wait another 4 years to do it, so we got to do it now. So to put a bow on the World Cup, the final, and everything that happened in the tournament, we're going to take control and give it away. We're giving it to Nicolette, Rojo, and Chandrima Chatterjee. They're going to give us a recap of the World Cup and everything that went on. We're going to test this out. They had a great conversation. As a matter of fact, they went over the time I said, hey, can you guys talk about this for however many minutes? And they doubled it because that's how passionate they were. I've edited it down. Edited it. Ed, and Eddie. Remember that show on Cartoon Network? Anyway, we've cut it down so that we can play it on the program, because also joining us for the first time, covering everything going on in Las Vegas. This man was at like 3 sporting events in one day. Goes by the name of Steve Carp. covers everything Las Vegas. I haven't met him yet. I've been sick, haven't been able to make it out to some of these events, but he's been there. He's been to everything from the Desert Dogs, which, if you didn't know, are new professional teams in Las Vegas with the National League Lacrosse League. We'll get the correct pronunciation. The Golden Knights, the Raiders, UNLV with their new coach, UNLV trying to get into the Pac-12 of realignment in college sports. So there's a lot in this episode. So I'm going to shut up. Just welcome in. Of course, whether you're watching us on YouTube, listening on Spotify, be sure to subscribe. Social medias at the Sporting Trib, TRIB, Adrian Radio 93. Let's put a bow on the World Cup. Nicolette Rojo joining us for the first time with veteran of the Sporting Tribune Today, Chandrima Chatterjee. This is the Sporting Tribune Today.
All right, so welcome to a special edition of the Sporting Tribune. We are joined by Nicolette Rojo, and Chandrima Chatterjee. We are both over at the Sporting Tribune. She is our soccer expert, and I cover various sports, and I am just joining to, just chat about the World Cup with our fellow expert.
I don't know. I hate it when people call me an expert, but thank you, Nicolette. I love chatting with soccer lovers. I'm always happy to meet more here in LA. So yeah, let's get started. It's been a few days, right? I don't know if you've had time to digest things a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Like that, all that exuberance kind of maybe died off a little bit, but
unless you're in Buenos Aires, excuse me, then no. Probably not. But we're in LA, so at least on my side, I'm good.
Yeah, how lucky they had a whole national day off, right?
The whole country basically went to the city.
It's my dream to someday live in a country where that happens.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So I was thinking last night I was thinking of talking about our top moments, right? And then I kind of changed it up on you a little bit. I hope that's okay. I created in honor of the season, I thought we could do a nice list and a naughty list,
I like that.
So, I mean, I have my naughty list is probably shorter than most people's. I just stuck with 5 of my top naughty moments, naughty people, naughty countries, whatever. And the nice list is humongous.
Of course.
I think it was interesting that that happened for me, at least, considering that I was pretty down on it in the beginning. But that final, something about it, honestly,
oh my God,
I just elevated my feelings, my belief, and that feeling of that just that hope,
1000%. The final was incredible. I was working full time when I'm not helping with Sporting Tribune. I work at Fox Sports, and the home to the World Cup and the next one in 2026, and our women's one from July 20th and August 20th of next year. I was in a war room essentially, with a bunch of TVs and with coworkers, and we were just stunned when we thought Argentina had just had it in the bag. Messi and then Di Maria they scored, and then we thought, okay, we're chilling. And then what I biasly call baby goat Mbappe, back-to-back goals in a few minutes, and we were like, what?
What has happened?
What did we just see? And then we were like, oh no, not oh no, because it was more like,
oh wow,
exactly,
yeah.
And then it went to penalty. Then we saw, okay, I said this is gonna go to penalty kicks. My coworker's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. Fair enough, it did, and it went down to literally almost the last attempt.
Oh yeah,
basically, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank goodness. And then I got text from one of my good friends who was telling me France should have won. And I said, I've been to France before, beautiful country, but Messi is personally my GOAT. I grew up watching him since I remember watching soccer, and this was around the I would say 2010ish when I was really, really understood and started. 2014 was when I was in high school, so that's when I really got into oh, this is cool and really fun. And
Right.
that's, and I said, Messi needed this. Mbappe's already got one. He's
He's got
literally my,
time too,
exactly.
right?
He's my age. He's my age. We got the rest of our, we have the rest
It's
of
like,
him.
let's not get greedy, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
I think I'm the same, right? I think I'm older than you, but I grew up watching Messi. I mean, he is like, that's why I like to say he's like a multi-generational kind of player. He kind of encompasses, the like millennials, and also, you know, a little bit, maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking the Gen X too. I'm kind of at the end of the millennials. So but yeah, Mbappe, I'm thinking he's the next generation. He's gonna break every record anyway, prediction. So
Absolutely. He's already broken a few alone this
yeah,
year alone.
yeah, I mean, so anyway, okay, so can I share my list with you?
Yes, let's
Very
go.
excited. I really hope you like it.
Let's do it. It's the season. We got
Parts
2.5
of it.
days. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Do you want to do you want me to do my naughty list or the nice list first?
Let's start with
This
the
says a
naughty.
lot.
Let's start with the naughty.
Naughty?
Let's start with
Okay,
the
that's how I think too. Okay, I'll just get it over with. I am a Real Madrid fan, and up until
naughty.
recently, Cristiano, I liked him, in spite of all his flaws. This time, I've had enough. I'm done. So he tops my naughty list, multiple reasons, mainly because he tried to take credit for a goal that was not his, in my opinion. I have watched that replay over and over and over, and I'm just like, maybe like his hair just a tiny bit. Maybe he like faked out the goalkeeper enough that he helped. But I thought it was really classy that his teammate Bruno was like, yeah, maybe Ronaldo did touch it. I don't know. I think that's a classy move, but I think Ronaldo showed very little class this time, and I'm devastated that he tops my list. Okay. So then I'm going to follow up very quickly, and say Qatar, the entire nation, I'm putting in as second place in my opinion. On my naughty list, reasons we can skip, we know. Infantino is number 3 because I will never forgive that 1 hour soliloquy that I'm just blown away. You would take center stage at the beginning of such an event and just diatribe it out like that. It was, for me, unnecessary. Okay, a little bit of soccer here. During the group stage, I thought the offside VAR was like, what's happening? Why is there so much? Why is there so much? Just by this, fraction of a centimeter margin. Sometimes I don't know what was happening there. I didn't like it. And
VAR was really annoying. There's a reason why we did a lot of memes on social over VAR.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. And I don't think I'm going to get used to it, actually. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. It's a new era. And then last on my naughty list, I think I told you this last night on the phone, but Salt Bay, please, somebody, for the love of God, explain what he does to me and why it's important, because I swear I've watched it over and over and over. I'm like trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Oh, maybe he's cooked for them before. Maybe that's why he was on the field like that. No, like the way he like drips the salt down his like arm onto your food. I'm sorry if I'm insulting anybody, but for me, I'm like, no, give me a new plate, please. I'm a vegetarian, but I don't want to touch meat that's touched like somebody's body parts, somebody I don't know.
I totally agree on that.
I'm sorry.
I couldn't find a good reason or any reason. I tried to even do research. Our reporters, I couldn't find anything. The only thing I saw was supposedly he's not from Argentina, he's Turkish, but he's affiliated with them. I don't know to what extent. So someone please tell me. I really don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I thought
he is friends with Infantino himself.
Yeah.
And ironically, I saw just minutes ago that now FIFA's investigating Salt Bay.
Nothing's gonna happen.
No.
Yeah, and he has a restaurant in Qatar, and I'm assuming somehow he is like a local celebrity and they let him through, but
Yeah, I think so too. Because I saw the badge over him, which means obviously you have VIP access, but then I was very confused of how did he actually get away with physically touching it when
and kissing it.
and kissing it unless you're a player, an official, or
Right.
basically or people in power, so essentially a president or
Mhm.
a government,
Family.
whatever, they can do
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
He's not obviously.
Very confusing, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't even that's just gross to me. The whole thing. I'm over it. So okay, wait, I'll do my nice list because I feel like we overlap a little bit here and then it's all you, huh?
All right.
Um Messi is the top, obviously. Wasn't my hero, but I honestly, I mean, I remember thinking to myself, does this man ever get injured? He's like this, he's made out of rubber. That's all I remember thinking when I was growing up. Like, wow, it's ultra human, absolutely well deserved. I'm so happy. I feel like it was just a monumentous moment. I was at a watch party here in LA, in a market parking lot, this Argentinian restaurant.
Mm.
And it was a sea of Argentinian people and supporters, and they were just, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. I can't imagine being in Buenos Aires for this, but just to have this like brief
Yeah.
exposure to it, I felt
Hmm.
so blessed, and I'm so grateful because that was it for him, right?
Hmm.
Probably. um Canada's first goal ever, right? So Alfonso Davies,
Hmm.
number 2 for me. Congratulations. Australia for just everything, for really being one of the most underrated teams, and for all their fans who were celebrating like mad, over in Australia. And I'm going to follow that up with Japan because fans as well as the team. And then captain of South Korea's team. He came back from that injury and he played, like a champion. And he and his teammates, right, won over everybody. It was beautiful. And, last but not least, close to my heart now, the whole team of Morocco and just everything that they've accomplished. I shouldn't say last but not least. I have one more, but sorry. Um,
Worse.
I
It's a
think
season.
Morocco special, right? Because the
Yeah.
women are playing in the Women's World Cup
Hmm.
soon, and that's a big deal. So I want to see them do the same, huh? And then last for me is Iran. Their players for really, somehow just walking that fine line. They were able to do it. They were able to do a silent protest by not singing their national anthem, and then just being able to go out there at all and
Hmm.
represent what means most to them, whatever that is, whether it's their nation or the sport or their family. I think I just, all my love and respect to them, and I sincerely hope things change for their nation. So that's it for me.
Incredible 2 lists. I guess my turn. Ours are pretty similar, especially with the naughty list. So,
Okay.
naughty list, definitely I would put, the only reason I would put Salt Bay, is definitely at the top. I'm neck and neck between him and Ronaldo for sure because
Okay.
I'm I like Ronaldo as a player. I enjoyed him growing up as well, but no offense, I am not a Real Madrid fan at all. So
That's okay. All
I'm not,
right.
ironically, I'm not a Barca fan. I just grew up disliking a lot of La Liga, ironically, which is
Okay.
kind of ironic. But I like the love of the league. I just Real Madrid, I've just never been a huge fan, but I respect the fan base. I went to
Okay.
their game against Juventus. Insane.
Nice.
Very insane. But yeah, and I think I'm not going in any particular order, so you're a lot more better than me, but I would say going off the Ronaldo, he's definitely. I'll put him as 1A and then Salt Bae as 1B. I'm just gonna do that
Okay.
because one's soccer, like literal related, the other one is more, I guess, clout and pop culture. But
Yeah.
with Ronaldo, in addition to what you said, obviously, everyone as a former athlete, I've been benched before. I'm not ashamed to admit it, and it sucks. It's the worst feeling, but
Mhm.
you gotta show up for your team. This team, everyone's here. You gotta show up for a squad. And like you said, a lot of props to Bruno for showing that class, being a great sport. And Portugal has up and coming guys too, João Felix and a bunch of other dudes. And I just think Ronaldo could have been a better sport about it. People get benched a lot and it sucks, but he had that pouty face and it just doesn't feel right. And I could tell the dynamic
Yeah.
towards the end, like it just was not there for Portugal.
No. It's a terrible way to go out, it's a terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I did feel bad for them a lot. And then as far as the Salt Bae, kind of we already talked about it, but yeah, Salt Bae, I have no idea why he was there on that field. And I know Rihanna in 2014 had some scrutiny because she didn't do to the extent of what Salt Bae did, but you can't really you can't do that stuff. FIFA has strict rules for a reason. You gotta respect the rules, especially when you're not in your own home. I don't home. You just got to do it. Just do
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
But those are definitely two on my naughty list.
Right as they were going in on Salt Bae, I had to cut it off. I told you we had to cut off the conversation. They talked for almost 30 minutes. And this was amazing stuff. And no, Salt Bae did not have goons in here in the studio behind me telling me to, hey, that's enough. That's enough. Salt Bae, get the hell out of here. But they did bring up an interesting point. 2014, the scrutiny that Rihanna got. How ridiculous is that? You cannot tell me that if you have eyesight and you look at Rihanna, you can't tell me she's not allowed wherever the hell she wants to go. You should be thankful she's on that field. I don't care if the World Cup's the biggest thing in the world or not. That's Rihanna. Anyway, shout out to Nicolette Rojo, her first appearance here on the Sporting Tribune today. Chandrima Chatterjee, her third appearance. They kicked ass. That was amazing. And I may need to talk to whoever the Sporting Tribune Santa Claus is, because we'll consider it like a stocking stuffer. We're going to release that full version, the whole 28-minute conversation. We'll release it over the weekend. We'll make something work. Really great stuff. Really great World Cup. Really great coverage. Of course, all of Chandrima's articles on the Sporting Tribune.com. And let's move on and talk about some Vegas sports. And not just me, but we got a pack of goons here in the 702. That's the area code for Las Vegas, if you didn't know. That cover everything. But one man in particular, his name's Steve Carp, has been going to multiple events per day. Las Vegas Bowl, Raiders games, Golden Knights, a new professional lacrosse team. UNLV men's basketball is going crazy. Is UNLV going to join the Pac-12? A lot has been going on these past 2 weeks. So we'll turn it over and we'll check in with Steve Carp to get the latest out of Las Vegas. This is the Sporting Tribune Today. It is episode 5 of the Sporting Tribune Today, and every episode we inch closer and closer getting to know everyone on the staff here at the Sporting Tribune. Today, we get to check in with a colleague. I'm here in Las Vegas. He's here in Las Vegas. Arguably the hardest worker on the Sporting Tribune Today staff the past 2 weeks with all the events and craziness that's happening in Las Vegas. So without further ado, we'd like to welcome you to the program and introduce Steve Carp. Steve, how are you? How's it going?
Good, Adrian. Nice to be with you. And I don't know about the hardest working person, but I was certainly busy.
Hey, I think it was 2 or 3 events in one day. I was like, he's putting in work, making sure everything's covered for our fans. So we appreciate it. And we'll start here because this is the sport I'm most ignorant about. We'll start with some hockey. Of course, last night, the Golden Knights finally won at home. They beat the Coyotes 5-2. A hot start to the season. Weird losing 6 out of the past 8 games at home. They still lead the Pacific Division. Just overall thoughts on where the Golden Knights are as we stand currently.
Well, they're a team that's flawed, and we are seeing that because when three of your top players were out, and I include Alex Pietrangelo, who had a family issue to deal with, along with Jack Eichel and Shea Theodore. You're missing three key guys. So whether you're playing at home or on the road, it's hard to make up the difference when you lose players of that caliber. So the fact that they lost and the scoring has been so down is not that surprising, given Eichel was the team's leading scorer. Theodore has always been one of their top offensive defensemen, and certainly Pietrangelo, who had gotten off to a slow start, but had started to really pick it up and figure out Bruce Cassidy's system. You look at the whole thing and you say to yourself, well, is this roster constructed well enough to survive it? And the answer is some nights yes, some nights no, depending on who the opponent is.
And to their credit, like I said, they're still leading the Pacific Division.
Yeah.
How would you, if I'll have you become a professor here really quick, and grade Bruce Cassidy's first season so far?
A-.
It's
He's
fantastic.
done a really good job of getting the guys to play for him, buy into his system. He's honest with them. He's not afraid to call people out when they're coming up short of doing their jobs. And I just think there's a level of accountability that wasn't there before.
And we move on from hockey to, if you've been sleeping under a rock, within the past 2 weeks, a new professional sports franchise here in Las Vegas, the NLL, the National Lacrosse League, welcomed in the Las Vegas Desert Dogs this past Friday night, correct? At the Ultra.
Yep.
How was the first night? How was the spectacle that was with everyone and everything that they put on?
Well, the team itself struggled offensively to score 3 goals in a 60-minute lacrosse game, where the average scoring is like between 11 to 13 goals. I thought fell well short of the mark. However, this is an expansion team. They're still kind of learning each other and the coach and the system. But I think they have a marketing issue. They're not doing as good a job of getting people in town familiar with the players and the coach. Everyone knows who Wayne Gretzky is. Everyone knows who Steve Nash is, the 2 of the 4 co-owners. And even people know who Dustin Johnson is. But you've got to be able to market your players and your coach, perhaps. The players more than the coach. And I think they need to get out in the community more, do more things, and educate people who are not into lacrosse, who maybe know soccer, who know basketball, know hockey, and teach them the nuances and the finer points of playing. It's a really fast-paced game. I mean, when you've got guys shuttling in and out of the field and the line changes and stuff, it's really amazing the synchronicity of it all. But I do think that over time, this team has the chance to make it work here. To me, it's not the ideal place to playing on the Strip when you're basically catering to locals. You'd have been better served playing at the Dollar Loan Center, Henderson, or the New Orleans Arena. Both places don't seat as many. They drew 7,000 legit on the opening night, and the ticket prices are a bit steep. $25 the cheapest to get in.
Oh, that can't.
Around $100.
The
it's
Aces
hard.
don't charge that much, and they have a right to in terms of
you get it
success.
for $10.
Yeah.
And they're the best team in their league. So, like I said, they've got some work to do. They need to make some adjustments, I think, in terms of the way to get the word out. But the game itself is a fun game. I mean, if you're into speed and a little bit of violence and skill, these guys are really skilled players, and you might enjoy it.
Yeah, for those that don't know, the one thing I can't tell you about lacrosse, well, at least the NLL, is that you can fight I was not aware of that. I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
is like hockey. I do want to just real quick touch base on two things from that night. Obviously you brought up the ownership. You brought up Steve Nash, other owner, Joe Tsai, who of course owns the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn
Yeah.
Nets fired Steve Nash earlier this year. Might have
I
been a
know.
little bit of an awkward situation. If you noticed any weird body language or them
No,
conversing.
not at all. In fact, I thought the two of them, now whether this was a facade or not, I don't know, but the two of them seemed to get along fine. And they, they're in it for the long haul. I believe Nash played as a kid growing up in British Columbia and Victoria. Joe Tsai apparently did play lacrosse and everything. So he's fully invested in this thing. I mean, the guy's got plenty of money. Money's not the issue here, Adrian. It's a question of whether this thing can gain
Sustainable.
any traction in a very, very crowded sports market. That's their challenge.
I think
They're playing the same time as hockey. They're playing at the same time as UNLV basketball and football with the Raiders and UNLV. Well, UNLV season is over, but the point being, it's not like they have exclusivity to the market. There's a lot going on in town for them to go up against. And I think there's only so much discretionary income people have that they're going to spend part of it on a sport they're not familiar with and really don't know much about.
Yeah, no, and I 100% agree. I think it's kind of like the story of Las Vegas. We always get all these residencies and shows and restaurants and hotels and hotels and hotels. It's like, when is the bubble gonna burst? But we keep rolling. I will say, just came out earlier today, over 100,000 viewed the game on ESPN on their platform on ESPN Plus, their highest viewership they've had for an NLL game. So we'll see if it's sustainable or not. You bring up UNLV. In my notes, I didn't even put them on there. Shame on me. So much things happening in Vegas. Obviously, they hire their new head coach in Barry Odom. They get Petrino as their offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Do you view this as okay, we're going to care about football and put some effort and try to make something of ourselves here?
There's no question the university is committed to making it work. I think there's a bigger picture here that we have to keep an eye on, and that's realignment with conferences and maybe now with UCLA officially going to the Big Ten. Along with USC, the Pac-12 is going to be looking for replacement members, and San Diego State may very well be one of them. And I'm writing about this for next week. Why not UNLV? And part of UNLV's selling point will be its football program. They need to be competitive. And I think when you bring in a guy like Barry Odom, who's coaching a Power 5 conference in the SEC, and you bring in someone like Bobby Petrino, who is really one of the more fertile minds when it comes to playing football and scoring and offense, I think you've got elements here that you can recruit and get kids to come and find people in the transfer portal who fit this system and want to play in it. And I think UNLV could be successful in football right off the bat. They kept their quarterback, Doug Brunfield. Several other kids decided to stay. A few did leave. But I think everyone is certainly replaceable. But it helps when you have a young quarterback who has had some success and is willing to stick around and be part of something. He must obviously like Las Vegas and the university. So I do think this has the potential to be very good. They just hired a really good special teams coordinator yesterday or today. They announced it. So I think in a short period of time, Barry Odom has gotten a lot done, and he's also done something very important. He's reconnecting with the local high school community. He is going to get local kids to stay home and play. There was a kid from Oregon State who played at Bishop Gorman who had a big game in the Las Vegas Bowl last Saturday. These are the kind of kids that UNLV needs to keep home in order to help develop some depth and also have some success. And hopefully Barry Odom is going to make some inroads again, like Tony Sanchez did before. And Marcus Arroyo, for whatever reason, decided he didn't want to waste his time really recruiting locally, which I'll never understand, by the way. Maybe it's just arrogance on his part.
Yeah. And I will say too that it's good to see this energy and this positive energy. And obviously, like you said, bringing in someone from the SEC, really good stuff. And that Pac-12 thing is, I think it's what everyone's waiting on to see if they're really going to get in, because what place doesn't want Vegas involved in whatever they're doing?
Well, here's two things to consider about the Pac-12 and UNLV. One, UNLV is not the school it was when Jerry Tarkanian was the coach back in the 70s and 80s and into the early 90s. It's become a research institution. It's got a law school, a dental school, a new medical school. It still has one of the great, great hotel management schools in the country, right up there with Cornell's. And they also have the Desert Research Institute. So they've got a lot of things going for it academically. It's in a major city in Las Vegas. And the other thing is that the commissioner of the Pac-12, George Klivkoff, he worked here for 35 years for MGM Resorts. He knows this city. He knows this university. So he knows whether or not UNLV would be an asset to the Pac-12 or not. He doesn't need to be sold on it. He knows it could be a positive for the conference, and also give San Diego State a travel partner. I mean, people talk about BYU or Fresno State or Boise. I don't think those are good fits. I do think UNLV ultimately is a good fit for the Pac-12.
And Steve, this is exactly why we have you on the program. That gem right there, the Pac-12 commissioner, living here and working here for 35 years. That's fantastic to know. Let's move over to the roommates at Allegiant Stadium for UNLV. Of course, the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think they're more like the landlords.
Yeah, technically, yeah. No, you're right. The landlords that still use it, though. Was it the craziest ending to any sort of game that you've covered in your career?
The only thing I'll compare it to was the ear bite of the Tyson fight with Holyfield.
Yeah.
For bizarreness. I would say that's still the craziest thing I've ever witnessed in person. But Sunday's finish to the Patriots game was crazy. There's just no other way to describe it. I mean, I have no idea what the Patriots were thinking. And I know Bill Belichick didn't call that play. And for whatever reason, Chandler Jones just happened to be in the right place at the right time as Jacoby Myers inexplicably tried to throw the ball back across the field to his quarterback. And once Chandler Jones grabbed it and he stiff-armed Mac Jones, that was it. You know, it's game, set, match. And you know, for the Raiders, who've been involved in a lot of weird things over the decades, you know, they're going to celebrate the 50th anniversary Saturday of the Immaculate Reception when the Raiders played the Steelers in Pittsburgh. This one may be at the top of the list, though. I mean, because it was supposed to go to overtime. Who knows what would have happened? Excuse me, sorry. And here the Patriots are doing the most unpatriot thing you'll ever see. And it cost them the game. It may cost them the playoffs when it's all said and done. And yeah, I mean,
it's unbelievable to think of. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, because I mean, the Raiders were in the process of blowing the game, and it took a late touchdown from Derek Carr to get them back to even. And who knows what would happen in overtime? I mean, maybe the Raiders win, maybe they don't. But to win a game like that was pretty wild.
I do want to, if you could, take me into the press box. Obviously, there shouldn't be anybody cheering That is a rule that is not allowed
Yeah,
in the
there
press
were
box. Were
people
there?
cheering, Adrian.
But
There were
what was-
people cheering.
What was the so? What was the energy like? Were people just in shock, screaming "What the f"? Like, what? Take me back and what was going on? in the
Yeah,
press
there
box?
was a lot of what the F's and a lot of holy, you know what? Not holy Toledo, but
No, say it. We can say it.
holy
This is a
ass.
podcast.
A lot of holy. What the hell is going on here? And
We even had the cutoff. Steve, I told you, jam-packed show. Shout out to Steve Carp, Nicolette, Rojo, Chandrima, Chatterjee for joining us. Look out for the full versions of all those interviews and content that we drop. Little nuggets, little stocking stuffers. They'll be on the feed, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Happy holidays as always. SportingTribune.com. I'm Adrian Hernandez. You can follow me on Twitter at AdrianRadio93, on Instagram at Heavyweight Radio, and the Sporting Tribune on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Sporting Trib. Merry Christmas. One more episode to close out 2022. Have a wonderful weekend.